Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 355 of Hit the Ropes Radio. I'm hoping that it is not coming through staticky on your end, but it's me, Shane. I'm here with my boy D Stokes. What's going on, Stokester?
Shane Howard. What's going on, man? Good to be back. Another great
I'm
episode of Hit the Ropes Radio.
I'm saying we're coming off of a pay per view. There's always a lot of news when you come out of a pay per view when from the WWE. You got some new champs. Well, a new champ that has a lot of people talking. I know when the result happened, there was a lot of chatter among us guys at HTR. So of course, I'm talking about none other than Mr. Enzo Amore. Um, just give me your thoughts on the match and what is to be with Mr. Enzo Amore.
Well, I don't want to be the guy who said that they told you so, but I told you so. I told you guys that Enzo was coming to the cruiserweight division with the sole purpose of dethroning Neville, and that's exactly what he did. Um, not in real spectacular fashion. We all know that Enzo Amore is not going to give you a 5-star textbook match, but nonetheless, he is the new cruiserweight champion. Um, and whether you like him or not, he brings a lot of charisma. He brings a lot of that it factor to to the cruiserweight division on in the WWE. So to that, I say, hey, um, I'm not mad at the move. He is a bit annoying, but I like what they're doing with him because it looks like they're shifting him to more of a heel character, and I do like that direction. So overall, man, listen, I'm not an Enzo hater like you guys, so I'm not mad at the move. Big ups to Enzo, certified G, bonafide stud. You can't teach that, man. Can't teach it.
Can't stand him. I guess I would appreciate him more when he's a heel outright, but the Enzo character is not going to make me tune into 205 Live. It happened. I did not watch. I quickly scanned the results. I think there are only like two matches on the entire show, but it's not going to make me. It's not going to make me, set my dial to the 205 Live.
It sparks interest, man, or at least it should. Just in the sense that he just brings some charisma, man, that none of the other guys bring to the table. So you can't be upset at WWE for making the move, right? You have to understand and respect why they did it. They need to bring some numbers, increase some ratings in 205 Live, and whether you like him or not, man, Enzo kind of does that. I like what he's doing with Neville. Neville comes out looking like demented, bro. I don't know what Neville has going on with his character, but like his eyes are like, I don't know if it's makeup they do that with to make his eyes kind of, they've been put the black around his eyes, or he looks like he hasn't slept in years, and he comes out and and obviously he has the thing going on with Enzo, but his look and his even the way he talks and stuff, that's kind of changed a little bit, but hey, like I said, you can't be mad at the move WWE made. I think moving Enzo to 205 Live was smart. Obviously, with him not being with Big Cass anymore, that kind of took some steam, took some wind out of his sails. Now put him on 205 Live. He's shining, man. He's money. He's money. I'm sorry. It's the truth, Shane. It's the truth. Well, looks like we're having some technical difficulties. Um, so we apologize as we try to navigate through the technical difficulties here on this episode 355 of the Hit the Ropes radio show. We've been talking about Enzo Amore. We've been talking about him becoming the new cruiserweight champion, and how that changes the landscape of the cruiserweight division as a whole. I mean, by far, Enzo is probably the worst from a wrestling perspective as far as wrestling skill. If you're trying to measure the skill level of the other cruiserweights in comparison to him, but nonetheless, he has the charisma that the other stars or other cruiserweights in the division lack. Give me a thumbs up in the chat room, guys, if you can hear me. Oh, okay, great. Hot Dog says he can hear me now. All right, sweet. So we'll see what happens. What happens with the cruiserweight division? Where Enzo goes next? Obviously, the immediate thing is probably a rematch with Neville, and then we'll see. We'll see what develops. I'm interested in seeing if he keeps the title for an extended period of time. I mean, Neville has pretty much been the champ, for the better part of the history of 205 Live. Now, I know TJ Perkins started off as the champ, but it transitioned to Neville. We had Akira Tozawa, who was the champ for like literally a cup of coffee, and then it went back to Neville. So Neville has pretty much been the champion for more often than he hasn't been the champion during the entire duration of 205 Live. So I'm interested to see if the WWE trusts Enzo enough to let him carry the show for a little while, as I think we're joined back here by Shane Howard. Or maybe not. Shane, are you there?
I'm here.
All right. So what do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
I was giving an epic rant, and
nobody heard it.
Google Hangouts and I are having apparently the longest feud outside of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
Right.
So let's try this again. Enzo came out and stated the fact that the cruiserweight division's been around for X amount of time. These guys have been champs for X amount of time, but never have they been in the main event spot on Raw. And it's funny that he brings this up, because the main event spot on Raw, the final segment on Raw, is supposed to be a big deal. But when you look at things, when you look at the ratings on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, depending on when they come out, for those that pay attention to the ratings, and the WWE and USA Network does pay attention, the third hour is always the weakest hour. So it's nice of Enzo to get this spot for the cruiserweight division, but ideally, it's the spot to covet. But it's also that time where the football games might be, going down to the wire. So fans are going to be turning over to ESPN or a college football championship or whatever might be going on. So the third hour now, it's not that amazing, because that's the time when a bunch of people tune out. It's no longer the time where you're going to have this overrun because there's a live sex celebration. So, yeah, Enzo can feel happy because he's in that final segment. But look at the ratings. Monday's ratings was a 1.97, which is slightly up from last week, which was a 1.93. but the third hour still was the lowest hour out of all 3 hours.
But is that Enzo's fault? That's not Enzo's fault. Raw just in general kind of sucked on Monday night. I mean, if I'm putting it politely, sucked is probably the operative word here. It wasn't a very good show. It was, obviously coming off of No Mercy, which was a relatively good pay-per-view. You know, this is kind of why I have the gripe that I have with not having a regular world champion or in this case a regular universal champion on the show. Brock Lesnar's not on the show. He beats Braun Strowman in what was dubbed as a big match, and then he's not on Raw the next night, and Raw turns into this lackluster show. John Cena loses to Roman Reigns in this passing of the torch match and No Mercy. And while 85% of the people probably aren't mad that John Cena wasn't on Raw, or that wasn't on Raw on Monday night, maybe he should have said something. I know he kind of said his piece during the Raw talk after No Mercy, but a lot of people didn't see that. So maybe you bring him on so that he can say his piece, and then he leaves and kind of passes that torch to Roman Reigns. I just thought there were so many gaps in Raw. You can't blame Enzo for taking some pride in having that last segment, because quite frankly, he's right. The cruiserweights are usually the first hour of the show, and then you don't hear from them again, or there's some filler during the second hour, but they're in the final hour, the last segment of the show. That's an important segment of Raw, regardless of the ratings, regardless of what the numbers look like. That is the prime time spot on Monday Night Raw. That last segment and that first segment of the second hour those are like the two big ones. And for Enzo to have the cruiserweights featured on that very last segment, that was a big deal, man.
I'm not gonna disagree with the fact that Ross sucked, but I don't think it helps. You're saying, throughout the show, we're gonna be seeing Enzo Amore later, and then you're in the third hour, we still haven't seen Enzo. Lo and behold, Enzo's the last segment. I think that could also help the fact that the numbers were down, because people realize that Enzo is going to be in the final spot. It could be. I don't know. I really don't know. I didn't look at I'm not as invested to go look at the segment by segment numbers. I'm not that invested, but I didn't feel like overjoyed at the fact that I was seeing the cruiserweights in the final segment. It just seemed like it was a one-off thing. It was just a one-off thing. I don't think we're going to be seeing the cruiserweights weekly in the main event spot for the last segment.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm getting a little feedback on your head, Shano. But as Shane walks away in disgust. No, I don't know, man. Will we see the cruiserweights again on the last segment? Who knows? But the fact is, they were there on Raw Monday night. They got a chance to shine, and it's all because of Enzo. I'm sorry, it's all because of Enzo. All because of Enzo. But thank you guys so much for joining us for episode 355 of the Hit the Rubs radio show. Pardon us as we kind of get through some technical difficulties here. We're experiencing a little bit of static here on the broadcast. We apologize for that, but we hope to get that rectified here relatively soon. We're talking a little bit about. We've actually spent really the first 20 minutes of the show kind of talking about Enzo Amore and his impact on the cruiserweight division now that he is the cruiserweight champion. But I want to talk a little bit about No Mercy. Let's talk about No Mercy. Obviously, that was the pay-per-view this past Sunday, live on the WWE Network. And I thought the No Mercy was a pretty good show overall. They really, I was questioning why some of the big matches that they had on the show were on a pay-per-view the caliber of No Mercy. You know, you had John Cena versus Roman Reigns. You had Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. Those are, in my opinion, WrestleMania caliber matches. And so you wonder why those matches were on a pay-per-view like No Mercy. But nonetheless, we got those matches, and we honestly got the results I thought that we were going to get. Of course, John Cena puts Roman Reigns over, kind of passes the torch for him, if you will, much to the chagrin of many in the WWE universe. And then, of course, Brock Lesnar, after taking beatdown after beatdown, week after week, leading up to No Mercy from Braun Strowman, actually defeats Braun Strowman and retains the WWE Universal Championship. So I thought the tag team title match between, I think it was multiple teams there. Obviously, Sheamus and Cesaro, the champs being Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. You had Gallows and Anderson in there as well. I thought that match was very good. I thought the women's match was decent. Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt kind of is what it is. And then you had Cena and Roman Reigns gave us a really solid match. Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar kind of gave me what I expected them to give me. But I thought overall the show was good. I would probably give it maybe like a B- overall. Shane, what were your thoughts overall on the No Mercy pay-per-view?
I'm trying to call in on my phone so I can get off of this static nonsense.
Yes, sir.
I think I fall into the same category as everybody else with the show, that it was really good and entertaining up until kind of like the last two matches. Things didn't thrill me as much, but overall it was a good show. I was pleasantly surprised by how good of a show it was.
Yeah, definitely. What would you say your what was match of the night for you when you think about the pay-per-view overall?
That's a good question. I'm gonna go with the tag match, the tag team match.
Okay, yeah, that's probably the consensus there, right? For match of the night, unless someone in the chat room wants to throw something else in, something different in. That's definitely was the match of the night for me. Like I said, the women's match was good. Enzo, Neville, is what it is. But it was a better than expected pay-per-view. I think someone in the chat room actually spoke to that. And I actually thought just coming out the gate, it was going to be a good pay-per-view just because, like I said, those two main events really sold, kind of what would normally be your lackluster pay-per-view in the middle of September. It's not as much of a big deal as it was. You had two really, really strong main events to kind of push No Mercy over the top to be somewhat decent. Hot Dog in the chat room says the ending of Brock versus Braun was lame. Brock wins it with one F5. Should have taken at least two to put Braun away. I actually agree with that sentiment 100%. I actually thought that you made Braun Strowman look a bit weak by him only being able to take one, F5 when, just a week prior or a couple weeks prior on Monday Night Raw, you had him like no sell, like all of these German suplexes. And then all of a sudden, now he's not no selling the German suplexes. He's not no selling the F5. I agree, Hot Dog. He probably should have kicked out of, at least one F5 to make things credible. Shane, you agree with that?
I mean, after taking all of those Germans, I don't necessarily feel that he had to. I mean, what was the final suplex count? Like 14?
It was double digits. I know that. I'm not one to count. I'm not a Brock Lesnar fan, so I don't count Brock Lesnar suplexes like some of you guys do. But
I mean, after taking all of those, I'm not mad at the man for winning without Braun kicking out of one of those F5s, and I'm not mad at Braun for losing after all of those suplexes and just one F5.
But wouldn't it have been better for Braun Strowman to come out with the belt? Wouldn't it have been better for him to win the match?
I mean, because I'm a Braun Strowman fanboy right now, yes, it would be awesome if he was to win the title and come out. But a part of me felt that it wasn't going to happen. Because every time that we get into a Brock fight, we hear the news of him going to MMA and all of this. So it's kind of trying to make us think that something's gonna happen, but it doesn't. So I felt that was gonna happen, and Braun was gonna win. Braun was gonna lose. I mean, so I'm not surprised of the result. I only want Braun to win the title because I like what they've done with Braun. I like how Braun has carried himself. And everything else is just an added benefit, the fact that he's always there, unlike Brock.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, right. And that's my problem. My biggest issue with Brock is that, he's not there every week. He's not there every day. I would have liked to see Braun Strowman come out with the title. But it looks like they're going to go at this thing with, Brock staying champion until WrestleMania and then finally, dropping it potentially to Roman Reigns. And, and if you're making Roman the man, that's fine. But I just wish that somebody else was world champion. And speaking of Roman Reigns, now the torch has been passed to him, Shane. He is the man now. John Cena is, in his own words, kind of falling back from WWE for a bit. And so Roman Reigns, are you buying or selling Roman Reigns as the face of the WWE? I mean, I guess it doesn't matter if you buy or sell. WWE's doing what the heck they want to do anyway, and they're going to push them down your throats. But are you buying or selling Roman Reigns as the new face of the WWE?
He doesn't have to be my face of the WWE. Let's get into that whole "he's not my president" hashtag not my president. Hashtag
not my face.
It's like I don't care who's necessarily world champion, because like as much support as I was giving Jinder Mahal for being the champion over on SmackDown, I wasn't tuning into SmackDown to see Jinder Mahal. I tuned to SmackDown to see like AJ Styles, Ty Dillinger, Naomi, Natalia, in the past, Alexa Bliss. I was tuning in to see those individuals. So it wasn't necessarily the fact that this person was the top champ. So if Roman wants to be the face, or if they plan on having Roman the face, that's fine. But it's like when The Rock was the face. The Rock was never my one of my all time favorites. Like I laughed when he said some of the stuff he said, but I was not tuning in because of The Rock. You know,
What?
I wasn't tuning in because of The Rock. I'm just, The Rock is and was good. He,
Good? No, 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 no. No, no, no. He was not good. He was great. In fact, he had great in one of his nicknames. He was the Great One.
if you got to call yourself that,
Come on. Come.
I
Okay,
mean,
so you were watching Raw for who?
it's,
Austin?
it wasn't even like Austin. Like, it's like, okay, remember like the SmackDown 6. Remember those guys, the that period where the SmackDown 6, when it was like um Chris Benoit, all the guys that came over from WCW.
Yeah,
And
Eddie Guerrero, Rey
right,
Mysterio. Yeah, yeah, okay.
right, the SmackDown 6. Like, I was
I never
tuning
I
into
never knew they had a nickname, but yeah, okay, but I'm with you.
that's it. That group was called the SmackDown 6 at that time. That was the reason why I was tuning into to WWE. Necessarily SmackDown, more so. But back when it was like The Rock, Austin, and all of that, if Triple H is there, I'm watching. I, my top five of all time, Shawn Michaels is one, Triple H is two.
Well, no surprise there. Like the click, huh? Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, someone in the chat room says that you were watching for Val Venus.
And his friend and his pal penis. There you go. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No, I enjoyed watching Val's shenanigans, but that he was not the reason why I was tuning in. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I wasn't tuning in necessarily for The Rock. I wasn't gonna, oh my God, what is Rock gonna say this week? Oh my God, how is Rock gonna embarrass the coach? That wasn't how I was back then. There were guys on the show that I was just like, I want to see, like the Hardy Boys. Okay, I got to tune in because the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, those guys. It was more so like the mid tier guys that I was interested in watching. Kind of like now with where I'm looking at like the Ty Dillingers and those kind of people that I'm interested in seeing how they're gonna be built up to be in that upper card.
Okay. All right. Hey, to each his own. And so, circling back to present day, you're saying,
Present day, I'm saying what?
you're as it pertains to Raw. We were talking about Roman Reigns. So to tie all
Oh,
that
right, right, right.
to tie all that up with the bow, you are saying,
If they want to make him the face of Raw, that is, or WWE in general, that's fine. Yeah, he's a good looking guy. He fits all the boxes of being the face of the franchise. He's a good looking guy. He's muscular, just like Vince likes him. The
I'm sorry. That was just the way you said that,
it, sound, it sounded weird.
just like Vince likes him. You know how Vince
The,
like him. He like
the,
him muscular and good looking.
yeah, right. The kid there's a lot of kid support. The ladies the ladies love him, and
Right.
if the kids like him, that means the moms are buying, and that means the guys are taking the moms to the show because of the kids. So all of that works. He's decent enough on the microphone, and he's good enough in the ring. He's a believable enough champion. He fits all the boxes. So he's fine for the face of the company.
Yeah, see, I know most people are anti Roman Reigns. just like a lot of you all are anti Enzo Amore. But I'm here today. I'm pro. Listen, I know they said they call me the negative Nancy of Hit the Ropes Radio, but I'm pro everything today. I was pro Enzo. I'm pro Roman Reigns. I like Roman Reigns. I don't understand why people. Well, I do understand why people don't like him. The same reason that people. It's so strange though. The parallels between his career and John Cena's career. I don't know if you've ever like thought about that or paid attention to that. When John Cena was when his character was more organic, when he had the whole Doctor of Thugonomics thing, and he came out with the throwback jerseys on and rap bars dissing everybody, people loved that. But the minute they made him into like, the corporate, salute everybody, never give up, never quit, never back down, John Cena, the hatred starts to flow through everyone. And Roman Reigns has similar parallels because the Shield was something that kind of started organically and was, obviously it was a creation of the WWE, but not over, and the fans loved him. And then once they kind of splintered off, and Roman Reigns became the face, particularly when The Rock came out and endorsed him after he won the Rumble. That's kind of when this whole thing kind of snowballed into what it is today. But I'm not anti-Roman. I like Roman Reigns. I think just like John Cena, more often than not, Roman Reigns gives you good matches. He's usually involved in, he's a decent worker. Like you said, he has an appeal to ladies, to kids, what have you. My wife actually is not a fan, believe it or not. She's not a wrestling fan anyway. But, she'll acknowledge a good-looking guy. And like The Rock comes on and she goes all goo goo gaga if he ever appears or whatever. But Roman Reigns, she's like, why does he wet his hair like that? Why does he come out, just stuff like that. But so my wife's, probably an exception and not the rule. But I think overall he's fine, man. I don't know that, there's some other people that I would personally make the face of the company, but I'm fine with Roman being that guy if that's what it is. What did you think? What did you think of the match overall with Cena from No Mercy? Did I lose you?
It was a good. It was no. I was just reflecting on the match.
Okay.
It was a good match. I kept waiting. I was more like perplexed at the end because I kept waiting to see what was going to happen. Cena was hanging around in the ring, and then Roman was just like looking at him. Then he walks over to the rope, and he's about to exit, but he's like doing it real slow. And I'm like, okay, are we going to see something? Is Roman going to attack? Are we going to see this heel turn? Is Cena going to do something? I was more like, okay, what's happening here at the end? But the match itself, we know these two guys. They have almost like similar styles in the ring, and they provided a good enough match where I was entertained enough. I was just like focusing on the end afterwards. I'm like, okay, what's gonna happen? Is the Shield gonna come out when Cena's just like with his back turned? Is Roman gonna attack him? Is Cena gonna say something on the microphone? Is Roman gonna say something on the microphone? I was just like wondering what else was gonna happen.
Yeah. And speaking of the Shield, just kind of segueing, and I know we got another topic that you want to discuss, a little invasion action that was teased. But speaking of the Shield, you brought them up. I don't know if you noticed this on Raw, and you probably did. Obviously, it looks like either we're going to get a Miz Roman Reigns short program or something of that nature. But the Miz and Roman Reigns got involved on Raw this Monday. They had a match, and the Miz Taraj gets involved, and after they beat Roman Reigns down, they give us the fist triangle, the famous Shield fist triangle, and I'm wondering, could this be some type of tease for Survivor Series? Could we see a Miz Taraj versus the Shield matchup? Maybe not even as Survivor Series. Maybe at TLC, which I think is Raw's next pay per view. Are they teasing us? Are they going towards that? You think?
Yeah, they are. Um, and as much of a Miz fan as I am, I'm just wondering why we're getting the Shield, why we're possibly getting the Shield reunion against the Miz and the Miz Taraj. I don't feel that they are a big enough trio, a big enough threat for Roman to bring the band back together. He was handling them by himself. I don't see the point in him going and getting um, Seth and Dean. And the fact that Roman is possibly going to feud with the Miz, doesn't Miz still have Jason Jordan to contend with? Don't they still have another match or something?
Jason Jordan is a Hardy boy now. You didn't see Raw Monday night, man. He's down with Team Hardy now.
I saw the fact that he and Matt kind of had the same ring gear, like
They did. They did. They did. They had like green on, right? Was it like
yep,
green?
green and black. Yep, they
Yeah,
sure did.
and it looks like we're getting it looks like Jason Jordan may be removed from that picture completely because we're actually going to get on Raw Monday night Roman Reigns versus The Miz for the IC title.
That is true. I did forget that they did give us that preview. That is
Yeah,
true.
and then it's another big match. Is it the women's title match?
Is that happening next week? I only remember
No, it was
seeing
two. It was two matches that they advertised that for Raw next week, kind of building up. The two. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it's not a women's match. I just can't remember what that second match is, but I do know Reigns versus Miz for the IC title is, that's probably going to be the main event on Raw next week. So that should be interesting. Um, Mickey James inserted herself back into the women's picture? It looks like she's
Mickey has injected herself back into relevancy.
yeah. But there you go. Hey, I've always been a fan of Miss Hardcore Country, so I'm glad to see her on TV whenever she's on TV. But it was interesting that they kind of just brought her out the woodworks to have her, potentially start a feud here with Alexa Bliss. But yeah, that was interesting. I'm just trying to think of what other notable things happened from Raw. I guess we'd be remiss if we did not talk about Cesaro getting like literally his teeth kicked out his throat at No Mercy. Obviously, he wasn't they didn't get kicked. He more of like ran into a post, but obviously he wasn't on Raw Monday night. But man, what a
He just didn't wrestle.
he was. Oh, I missed that. Then what did he do? A backstage segment?
No, Cesaro came out there with Sheamus when Sheamus fought Seth Rollins.
Ah, gotcha. Okay, yes, okay. Oh, okay, now I remember that. Okay, so my bad. But what a soldier Cesaro is after all that happened at No Mercy. But Raw was really kind of uneventful overall. And then moving on to SmackDown. SmackDown was kind of the same, right? I mean, there wasn't really anything that stuck out from SmackDown either. I am intrigued because Hell in a Cell is in my hometown, and it's also in a brand new arena that we just opened here in Detroit, the Little Caesars Arena, which will be, yes, it really is called the Little Caesars Arena, home of the Red Wings and the Detroit Pistons. So, and Hell in the Cell is going to be one of the first events that they're actually going to have there. The first being a Kid Rock concert, but we won't get into all of that. But yeah, so yeah, they started with a Kid Rock concert. I think, what's my man's name? Ed Sheeran? Is that how you say it?
Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, he's there tonight. He was there like last night and tonight. So he's doing like 2 shows here. And I think they had like some Red Wings preseason games, and then they're going to have Hell in the Cell. So one of the very first events to be in this new arena. So I really want to go more so to see the new arena than anything else, because I'm hearing that it looks cool. But Hell in the Cell does seem like it might be intriguing. With now you got New Day announcing that their match with the Usos will be inside of Hell in a Cell. We got to think, Shane, right? For the Ropies, the Usos and the New Day have to be an early contender for Feud of the Year, right?
On the WWE side, very much.
It's been Tom Phillips usually is spewing all types of nonsense, but for him to call it one of the better rivalries in the tag team division in recent memory is actually facts. That's true. No lies there. But so Hell in a Cell coming up. Obviously SmackDown leading up to that. I was glad to see Bobby Roode back on SmackDown. He challenged Dolph Ziggler to a match at Hell in a Cell, so it looks like we're gonna get that. That's another reason why I want to be in the house, because I want to sing the Glorious song. So I'm trying to be in the house live, but my wife's hating on me right now. But I gotta make it happen. But let's shift gears and talk a little bit about. Give us the synopsis of this whole invasion attempt by, maybe the most popular faction in the world of wrestling, the Bullet Club. Not maybe, they are the most popular faction in professional wrestling.
I don't think I'm the person that's best to talk about this, because that this is all Courtney McIntosh's domain.
Oh yes, King New Japan. All of a sudden, the brother got a what he get the New Japan. He got the New Japan Network or something. Now all of a sudden he's the the Stephen A. Smith of New Japan wrestling. Like, he knows everything about it.
He's a puro wrestling connoisseur all of a sudden.
Yeah, this is like. He wanted to go to an Evolve show. Evolve was here in Metro Detroit last Friday, and he's like, "Hey man, let's go to an Evolve show." I'm like, you don't even know what Evolve is. You think it Evolve in a literal sense. Like, you didn't even know it was a wrestling promotion. But I digress. Go ahead, man.
I do have some Evolve DVDs from years ago when I actually started watching Evolve. But anyway, the Bullet Club came to Raw to do a DX type invasion angle. It happened much earlier in the day, so it wasn't like 8-9 o'clock at night while Raw is on air. It happened, the sun is right up there, high in the sky. You got people already there on, in the crowd. There must be waiting for the talent to show up, so it was still close enough to showtime where you'll have fans outside, but they came out. Just think back to when DX did this to WCW. You had Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, and a few others, hanging around, interacting with the fans. They did the whole, did you buy your tickets to show up? And a fan was like, no. Cody said they papered the whole thing, which basically means that they were giving out free tickets. It was a nice nostalgic moment. Um, I had no problem with it. I think when we were talking, somebody, I don't know if it was you or Darius, was just like, sigh or shaking SMH, something like that. That it wasn't all that. But I thought it was a nice moment. It gets people talking. It's the Bullet Club. I don't know what's going to happen, if this is just going to happen. Just the Bullet Club doing this, and the WWE does not acknowledge it whatsoever. I think I remember seeing Matt Hardy tweeting the Young Bucks, um, either that same day or sometime around that time, that Monday night. But I got to wondering when I thought about it, I'm like, you know, is the WWE, somewhat involved here? Like, you know, we've seen Vince in the past get involved with ECW, and we know he's kind of like raiding ROH's stable. Whenever somebody's contract is up, they're raiding their stable. But I'm wondering if Vince is sending any money ROH or New Japan's way and we're going to see some more with the Bullet Club.
That would be interesting. And then, of course, you could incorporate the guys, because I know I did watch the video, and the Young Bucks were calling for Gallows and Anderson and Finn Balor, their friends, to come out. They were there to rescue them. So you could then incorporate some of the guys that were Bullet Club members prior to coming to the WWE. You can incorporate some of those guys in the storyline. It would be interesting. I don't know if that's the case. It would be great, but I don't know if that's the if that's the case. But it was a cool nostalgic thing to see. Definitely. That was obviously one of the most memorable moments in the history of the Monday Night Wars specifically. And so to see them kind of revisit that was pretty cool. I wanted to get your thoughts too before we get out of here for the evening. And thank you guys for listening here to Hit the Ropes Radio. What are your thoughts on WWE bringing back some of these old WCW names for old pay-per-view names for live events? I was just looking at some of the information coming here through the dirt sheets, the news wire here, and obviously WWE is going to have a Starrcade live event, and I think it's actually going to be at the Charlotte Coliseum, which is the popular, or the Greensboro Coliseum, I'm sorry, which is the popular venue where these events normally took place. But it's just been, or it's rumored that Gallows and Anderson are actually going to wrestle the Rock and Roll Express at this Starrcade live event. Like, yes. Yes, you look puzzled there, Shane Howard. You not like the new Rock and Roll Express. No, I am talking about the originals, Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. They've been challenged by Gallows and Anderson. The WWE has been retweeting the back and forth between the two, and it looks like that this is actually going to be a match on the Starrcade card, which by all accounts, most of the stars on this is a SmackDown show, but Gallows and Anderson are I guess crossing brand lines, if you will, for this event, because all the other matches are SmackDown matches. Nakamura, Jinder Mahal in the steel cage, Charlotte, Natalya in the steel cage. You got Baron Corbin, Rusev, AJ Styles in the triple threat for the U.S. title. A Texas Tornado match for the tag team titles between the Usos and the New Day. Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. Bobby Roode versus Dolph Ziggler. Breezango versus Aiden English and Mike Kanellis. That is the slated card. That's actually a decent card for a live event. But the Rock and Roll Express, baby, they're coming back for one night only, I guess.
I mean, they're fresh because they were at the TNA thing with the Hardys. So remember with the Hardys and the volcano and everything with all the tag team Apocalypto.
Oh wow! Did they actually they wrestled in that?
Yeah, yep, yes they did.
Wow. See, I didn't even know that. And I'm sure they probably do like house shows still and stuff. No, not house shows, but independent shows and things like that. I'm sure they still get down with that kind of stuff.
Gotta get that money.
I guess so. But what do you think about bringing back the names? I wish they would do it for actual pay-per-views and not just live shows.
I don't know. If it's just the name, then whoop-de-doo. I'm not going to be over the moon because they brought back the name of a certain pay-per-view. We've got a bunch of pay-per-views already, or network specials. The name itself is not going to make me say, "Oh my God, I got to go watch it." Now, are they when they bring back these names? Are they also bringing back certain concepts like when we saw one, I believe it was Starcade. That's the one that had like the cage or the other cage and the double ring or whatever it was.
Yeah, I think it was. I think that was War.
That's War Games.
War Games had the. I'm getting tongue tied here. War Games had like the rings together and all of that. But I think Starcade, the main event for the Starcade live show is 2K steel cage matches. I think if I'm not mistaken, the steel cage match was kind of a hallmark of Starcade, which is why they're doing them. Hot Dog in the chat room says the Great American Bash needs to be revived. He wishes WWE would replace some of the pay-per-view names with some old WCW ones. You would think that if you're doing 2 pay-per-views a month, that you could probably throw in some WWE shows. Like I would love to see, and I think Darius alluded to this in the chat room. I would love to see Halloween Havoc in October for one of the brands.
But again, just to throw the name on there is
yes, for nostalgia's sake.
Yeah, so okay, fine. That's fine. I hope you get many of those wrestling fans from the 90s, early 2000s to order the network for $9.99 or reapply for the network and get the next 2-3 months for free, like they asked Darius a couple weeks ago.
Oh, they're trying to get him back, huh?
Yeah, they're like, okay, why did you leave us? Come back and you get the next 3 months for free. Like, if that's what they got to do to get their subscription numbers up, hey, go ahead. I'm not gonna be thrilled over the name. I'm still looking forward to the product and who's gonna be wrestling. I'm not going to, oh my God, let me run my computer because I'm gonna see Robert Gibson and and these guys from yesteryear.
Yeah, I'm interested to seeing if they make this Starcade show a WWE special. It's not slated to be at this time, but you would think with the name, like, why would you give a house show a pay-per-view name? Like, that just, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So we'll see what happens. But Great American Bash, Halloween Havoc, Bash at the Beach, War Games, Starcade, those Clash of Champions, those are all classic WCW pay-per-views, and I wish they would bring them back. And then switching gears over to ECW, they need to bring back a December to Dismember. Like that's a classic name for a pay-per-view event. December to Dismember. They need to bring that one back. And somebody said, "Oh, Super Brawl, that was also a good one." Hot dog in the chat room through Super Brawl out there. The VC says, I want to see them electrocute someone like Abdullah the Butcher." Okay, now we're just getting ridiculous here. Everybody, advocating for that crazy violence. Good ribs at Abdullah the Butcher's restaurant. I think we ate there back in the A, if I'm not mistaken. But Shane, it's about time to sign off. Episode 355, Hit the Ropes Radio. Do you have anything you want to add? Looks like you got something to say.
No, I'm just glad. I'm just glad people stuck with the show for those.
Yeah.
Because apparently I was young Virgil, aka Static Shock over here. But I mentioned this on Facebook yesterday. Yo, whoever's out there need to bring back Static Shock. That cartoon right there was my joint. We need to bring back Static Shock. We reboot everything. There's a DuckTales reboot.
Can't wait. Well, I mean, actually, I can't wait. But go ahead.
Powerpuff Girls is back. They bring back all these other things. Somebody need to bring back Static Shock. Bring back Static Shock. Bring back Static Shock.
Bring back Static Shock for Shane. I'm laughing at the chat room because Darius, I made a reference to Abdullah the Butcher's rib joint about the food being good. And he said, you a lie about the food.
I let it go. I let it go because I don't remember enjoying the food.
I don't either, man. I was just trying to be complimentary in case Abdullah the Butcher listens to Hit the Ropes Radio, man. Maybe he'll give us a free rib dinner or something.
I remember being in there and there were a bunch of flies bothering the hell out of me.
I do. I remember that. I remember that also. So maybe I was mistaken, but hey, it is what it is. But bring back Static Shock for Shane Howard, Abdullah the Butcher. Get the flies out your restaurant, and we'll be back. We'll be back next week for another edition of Hit the Ropes Radio. For Stokes, for Shane, signing off. Have a great night, everyone. Peace.
Peace.